All right, welcome back. So here we go again. Today, a little bit different. We're going to be talking about the Cleveland Browns and, of course, doing a cigar review. One thing great about being a Browns fan is you can find these discounted hats and merchandise. Often players that they've let go didn't last long. This is a cool hat. This is the NFL military hat, and of course, you can kind of see, I don't know, the price tag there's pretty cheap, marked down, but that's what it is to be a Browns fan. And I figure today what we'll do is we'll give a review of a cigar, Gurkha. And Gurkha cigars, I think, equate with being a Browns fan because sometimes they really surprise you. They're just fantastic cigars, and but most of the time they're pretty crappy. So I'm going to try this one today that one I haven't even found much about. But let's talk about the Browns in the draft, though. And before we do, on the channel, I always kind of do a couple things. Do a boot check first. I have a collection of cowboy boots that I enjoy. These are Python, and they're made by Justin. And these are about 40 some years old, and just still amazing shape. Don't want to wear those out in the mud or something like that too much because you'll mess them up. Here's one of our big fans, Liza the Greyhound. She's taking a little afternoon nap. And we got other dogs around here too. But we also do a watch check. And today this is a watch I may have reviewed before. It's a Seiko Astron series, but for some reason it wasn't focusing in too much there. So let's go to the Euro Cave, pull out a cigar, and we'll talk about the Browns while we review the cigar. So we got a nice collection here, and what I think I'm going to do is pull out, like I said, is Gurkha. And this is a Gurkha Rare Breed. You can see the label there, maybe, Rare Breed. So I looked online, I couldn't find anything about it. They do sell some pipe tobacco called Rare Breed, but this one's so rare I can't even find the cigar. So thanks to my good buddy Mark, may his soul rest in peace. He's passed away, but he left me several of his cigars, and this is one of them, this Gurkha Rare Breed. So let's get the camera set up here. We'll sit down. I think that looks fairly decent, and we'll talk about the cigar and talk about the Cleveland Browns and why I think they don't even need draft picks. Now that's so unusual for the Browns because as a Browns fan, normally this time of year is our favorite time of year. It's coming up to the draft, and that's when hope springs eternal. And so we always think, well, what it could be, what's the promise of the future? Because once the season starts, they inevitably disappoint us. And so maybe this year will be like this cigar, a rare breed of a year, because I don't remember a year that I really don't care who they get in the draft. That literally this roster is stocked before the draft. They literally, it's just kind of all icing on the cake. Maybe some building for the future or some backups, but they really have an incredible roster thanks to Andrew Berry and some of his free agency pickups. So anyway, this Rare Breed is a huge cigar. It's not a it's like a Churchill, but it's a double Churchill size. So it's got some pretty strong coffee like flavor there. I have no clue what to expect in this. Like I said, my friend Mark left me some of these. If you're interested in these, let me know in the comments. But literally, I couldn't find them anywhere on the internet. So we'll kind of switch back to the Browns here in a second. Good draw. Medium amount of smoke coming out. Taste is pleasant. I think it's been aged for quite a while, so it's pretty smooth. No spiciness to it. The wrapper is really dark with even kind of speckles of shades of even darker brown. Interesting flavor profile, lightness, creaminess, a little bit of coffee. So far, so good. So, anyway, let's talk about this Browns roster. I mean, my goodness. What a... Yeah, I just pulled up the roster. Let me make sure the dog is good. I hear a little barking there. All right, we're good. All right, so... You know, it's center. They got Nick Harris. They got Ethan Posick. They re-signed Posick. You know, good. They're covered there. They got starter. They got a backup. The corners, you can always in the draft go for some backup corners, but the corners are actually looking pretty good. They got Martin Emerson, who had a great year last year. AJ Green coming back. He's 24. He had a good year out of Oklahoma State. Of course, Greg Newsome, the second, the high draft pick they had from Northwestern. Been excellent. Denzel Ward from Ohio State, outstanding. And then they got a couple of backups. They can probably add to that in the draft a bit from the corner standpoint. Defensive ends. Myles Garrett. What else can you say? Always up in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. They added Okran Nokwo out of Oklahoma. Should be a good offset to Garrett on the other side. They got Isaiah Thomas, Alex Wright. Again, they'll probably add a defensive end, either still remaining free agency, or you could get some backup in the draft. Defensive tackles, that was a huge problem last year, and so they got a lot of depth now. They got some young guys, so some guys being developed. They got some veterans there. So you got Jordan Elliott, 25. Tommy Togiai of Ohio State, the youngster. Of course, the big move, and Delvin Tomlinson from Alabama. He's 29 years old, veteran leadership there. Stop the run. Perrion Winfrey looked really good in some limited play his second year, so I think a lot to look forward to there. The guards, always known to be among the best in the league, right? With Batonio, Drew Forbes, Wyatt Teller. A good, maybe get a backup there. They got Dawson Deaton as a backup. Kicker, Cade York. He was kind of, started out good. He had some rough patches. Probably be okay. It takes a bit to learn to kick in Cleveland, so I'm not too worried about that. High, draft pick, so you're going to keep them, I'm sure. Linebackers, again, a problem last year. A lot of injuries. That spot at linebacker was just huge in terms of stopping the run. So they've got a lot of depth there. Of course, they re-signed the kid from Indianapolis, right? Why can't I think of his name? Anthony Walker Jr. Yeah. So that's a big signing. he's not even listed here, I don't think, on their official roster page. But you had him, Tony Fields, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Jacob Phillips, Sione Takitaki is back. So a lot of depth there at linebacker, a lot of youth. The Walker signing, I think, just is huge. Long snapper, they're fine. Their punter, Roquez, was great. Backup quarterback, welcome back, Josh Dobbs. That's fantastic. Really like Dobbs. Uh, uh, Unbelievable. We're not talking about getting a quarterback this year. For all the controversy about Deshaun Watson, we have a quarterback. We have a legit quarterback. How good he is, I don't think there's a ceiling to how good Watson could be. We haven't seen it because with the Texans, he was as good as anybody in the league at times. Obviously, last year coming back, he was off for so long. Hard to say if any of this is going to be mental, but Deshaun Watson, we don't have a quarterback controversy. We might have with the signing, but we're past that. Watson is a legit top 10, maybe top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And that is so refreshing for the Browns. Running back, of course, you got the best in the league, Nick Chubb. Now, you lost Hunt. Hunt, kind of lost a step anyway. Wasn't getting the playing time, so that's fine. But, you also lost your backup to Hunt. Gosh, I can't believe I forgot his name already. But you've got Felton, Ford, and John Kelly. Maybe they pick somebody up in the draft to go in there as for some depth. But you got to feel great about having Nick Chubb, no doubt. Safeties, pretty decent. You got Delpit. You got the signing of Juan Thornhill. I think you're in good shape there. You got some backups with DeAnthony Bell. Maybe they'll pick up a little bit of depth in the draft there. Tackles, again, like the guards, fantastic. Conklin, James Hudson, Jedrick Wills, fantastic. Tight end room, a little thin, but thankfully, they picked up Jordan Akins from the Texans. So that gives you a second tight end to go along with your star, David Njoku. They got some depth there with Harrison Bryant coming off his 4th year. Receiving room, wow, what a pickup, by Matthew Berry. Andrew Berry. Sorry. To get Elijah Moore there, who was picked up top 30, 32 in the draft. I think it was high on the Browns list. Obviously, it was from the Jets. So he becomes your burner. You got Cooper. You got Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's been very solid. Will they keep Schwartz? God only knows. You got David Bell out of Purdue. We'll see if he produces. He's been a little bit of a disappointment. You got Dalen Baldwin.
What are you doing? What are you doing? You quit.
All right, sorry for the interruption there. Didn't know, obviously, the dogs, but we're still talking Browns here. So I think we were on the receiving core. And that kind of wraps it up. Really, where is their weakness? Where do they need to add? We're so used to going into the draft, having to find somebody to fill a desperate need. And this is the first year that I can remember that we don't need to. You know, Terry Pluto writes about it. He said that, you know, the big move with Schwartz coming on as the defensive coordinator, and even, you know, I mean, Stefanski could be on the hot seat, right? If we don't produce, because there's no more excuses. You know, you've added different coaches. You can't blame special teams coach, defensive coordinator. You replaced them. So it's your call. Schwartz is a veteran. You know, you got Dalvin Tomlinson. He added. You know, they Okanoku, Oko Ronquo, Ogbo Okoronkwo was the other defensive end they added, you know, to help Garrett. You know, you're going to miss, you know, side by side for having somebody else back up Garrett. You know, you had, what's his name? God, I forget his name, but, you know, linebackers, again, you got, hopefully Anthony Walker's healthy, stays healthy. Thornhill at safety was a big pickup, as I mentioned. Bubba Ventrone, they even went out and added to special teams. You know, Elijah Moore, huge trade. So, you know, what else do you need? You know, I'm looking at some of what these mock drafts are. And they're talking about, like at pick 74, somebody like Keanu Benton, a defensive tackle. Okay, you can add some depth there. You know, after that, maybe a running back. Again, depth. These are all just adding depth and youth. So they're not essential needs, which is a rare place for the Browns to be in. So getting back to the Cigar, the rare breed, and the rare place that the Browns are in, you know, it's developing some flavor. It's clearly aged. I can see a lot of yellowing on the band here, which, you know, cigars, it's a good thing to age them. So it's a nice, smooth cigar. I wouldn't spend a lot of time trying to hunt it down on the internet. Like I said, you can't find it anyway. But I mean, it's not a great cigar. It's okay. But maybe. It's got potential. It's like the Browns. So maybe as I get through this, like we get through the season, maybe it'll become a great cigar. Maybe this become a great season. Because for once, we don't care about the draft. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you again soon.